In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at the way how we can set up Visio Studio and start creating wireframes for our clients. When you start a web development project, you will be required to put together a wireframe as the first step. In order for us to put together a wireframe, we use Visual Studio. Let's have a look at an example of a wireframe that we have created for one of our clients. Wireframe is created in the form of a PDF document. And here's an example of a wireframe. When we zoom out, we can really see the structure of the wireframe. Now, the real trick here is how do we make wireframes fast? How do we make sure that we can do those wireframes efficiently so we can produce websites that are cost effective? In order to do that, we created stencils so we can pretty much drag and drop elements into a website. Let's create a new customer account. We're going to create a customer account. We're going to call it 14 test. Just an example. You can create any folder you want, and you can have any type of structure to keep your clients organized, but I usually give my client a specific number that keeps my records in order. So in order to get started, we're going to go to a special folder that I have created called wireframes, and in this folder we have basically one file. This is old file, so we can delete that. So we have one file which contains all of the stencils for different blocks of the website. And this specific file is template file. Let's open up a template file. Template file is opened, and you can see that we have this basic structure for a website, a browser window, and we don't have any shapes here, so we need to open shapes. But before we open the shapes, we need to save a specific file from the template file. Sounds complicated, but it's very easy to do. We're going to go to File, and we're going to click Save As. And we're going to select this PC, and then we're going to browse for our specific folder that we created. So it's going to be on the desktop. We're going to go to Web Development, Clients, and this was 14 test. So we're going to be assembling home page wireframe here, so we're going to call this page home. Click Save. Okay, so it looks like nothing has changed, but in reality what happened right now is that we are no longer using the template file. We have created an actual Visio file, which is now located within the test folder that we have just created. Okay, excellent. Also, what I want to point out is that you can see that these two files are different. Even the icons are slightly different, because this is a template and this is an actual file. Alright, so now that we have the file open, we need to open all of our shapes. We're going to go to Open Stencil, and we need to navigate back to our stencils folder, this location here. We're going to go to Desktop, Web Business Development, Wireframes, Stencils, and we need to import all of the stencils over here. Now there's a quick shortcut how we can quickly find this location. If your folder is already open, I just copy this path, and then I go to Open Stencils, and I just dial in the path over here. It's really up to you. two methods are equally as good. So we're going to select all of the stencils. I do that by clicking first one, I press Shift, and I click the last one. It selects all of them. We're going to click Open, and it opens all of our web elements directly onto the left side over here as stencils that we can use. Each page starts with a header, so we're going to navigate over to the header, and we can simply drag and drop specific header that we want to use. I don't like this header. Let's use, and not this one. How about this one? This looks good. Okay, now that we have a header, how about we change something? What if a client wants contact us here instead of the blog? We just click once, click again, and we can change this text to contact. Sometimes you might want to move things around, but when you click on it for the first time, you can see that everything is selected. To make sure that you can select individual elements, we need to go to Group and click Ungroup. Just click OK, and you can see how it divided things into actual individual items. So now we can move individual items around. Okay, so you can see one more interesting thing here. Logo is separate. All of these two items are separate. However, if I click on a line, or if I click on Find the Store, or well, social icons are separate. But this I clicked twice. So this social media icons and the line, they are still together. So they were grouped twice. So if I click Ungroup again, to the items that seem to be selected all together, now you can see that every single element has been ungrouped. So now you can select each line and work with it separately. Usually, we don't need to worry about that. To assemble a website, we just drag, drop, click, rename. Each website requires a hero image for the home page at least. We just click, drag, and drop. Did you notice how our logo is now behind it? We need to move this module one layer back, or completely to the back. We can do that by clicking over here, Send to Back. There we go. Now this layer sits at the very back and the logo pops up first. That's what we wanted. So how about we add some more content to our homepage? Let's add news and Twitter section. Basically an informational block. Something like this. It's important to make sure that everything is centered. You see how we have more space on the right side here and less space over here on the left side? So before we get started, I usually like to make sure that everything is standardized in terms of the margins. So I'm using guidelines to do that. You can definitely be very precise with them, but for this specific demonstration, I'm not going to worry about them being too precise. So I think this looks fairly even. And quite frankly, usually that's all that's needed. So I'm going to take this first block and I'm going to position it right down the center over here. Like this. And I'm actually going to move the guidelines right over here so they align with the borders. You see how this guideline does not want to attach itself to this line? We need to ungroup this module. So I would click on it, then I will go to group, and I would click ungroup. I'm going to click OK. So now it's going to be a lot easier to work with it. And it should theoretically attach itself. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes you can use arrows on the keyboard to move your guidelines around, or any other object. For example, this text block, we can move it with arrows on the keyboard. You might have noticed that our screen, the browser screen, is a bit too short for this content. So we're just going to click this button here and we're going to move it down. Did you notice how this Learn More got attached to the bottom of the screen? That happens sometimes. So we're just going to move it back in place. Like this. Okay, how about we add some testimonials? I'm going to go back down here. Testimonials. We just drag and drop into place. And let's wrap it up by adding a footer. Okay, once again we need to increase the browser window, so we're just going to drag and drop like this. Did you notice how it seems that the border of the browser window in the footer, it disappears? You can see the black line over here, but there isn't any black lines at the very bottom. We need to bring this browser window all the way to the front. So we're going to click Bring to Front, just like so. And there we go. Now we have this home page for a website pretty much assembled. In order to save it and send it to a client, we go to File, Export, and we create PDF. Publish. There we go. We have just assembled a home page. Alright, so this covers introduction into how we can use stencils that are already pre-built to drag and drop different modules into place. I'm also going to show you one website called acfboot.com. Advanced Custom Field Boot is a repository of different web development blocks. We have different elements that have been created by graphic designers and developers. And these same elements, they are within our Visio stencils. So when we want to use a specific element from the Advanced Custom Fields library, we can go to our corresponding stencil library on the left side here, and we can take specific element, drag and drop it into place. We can look at different elements here that are available for us. This library is still small, but it is expanding fairly fast. Did you notice how we used a header image over here for the hero image? There it is, it's right here. If we click on content, you'll see additional blocks that are available for us to use. I would encourage you to look through this library of scripts so you know what's available from a Visio standpoint, as well as items and modules that are available for developers. Now you might wonder, what can you do with this library of scripts? If you are a developer, you can log in. Well, you can join. Once you join the library of scripts, you can log in, and then you can go to any specific module that you want to use for your website. Then you can click on expand, and you can see the actual HTML and CSS code that you can use to integrate it into your website. It also comes with advanced custom fields integration already built in, and a JSON file which you can use to import all of the custom fields created within ACF plugin, so you can quickly and easily assemble this fairly complex and mobile friendly module on your client's website. So that would conclude our first module that where we looked at the way that we can quickly create new wireframes for our clients using already pre-built modules. In the next module, we'll be looking at how we can create separate blocks within Visio Studio, and how we can create new modules within Advanced Custom Fields library, so we can add them to our portfolio of stencils within Visio. And I was looking at different modules that different websites have, and I stumbled upon this module right here. I think this is an extremely clean and easy to understand module that shows people what specific services that this company offers. The only thing that I don't really like about it is that when I clicked on it, see how if I click on it, it selects the outer shell of it, and it stays like that. When I click on the further to the next item, it just selects a random box for me, which I think is a CSS issue, but we're going to address that during the programming. In our specific case, we're going to be creating a Visio stencil for this specific module, and then we'll build it using the actual programming language, and we'll add it to our library. So let's work on this one next.